So welcome to this Module 3E presentation on the therapeutic relationship that aims to explain how you can build wholesome therapeutic relationship with your client as a caregiver. So by way of introduction, a therapeutic relationship means essentially creating a positive alliance or relationship with a patient. And establishing a therapeutic relationship with a patient takes time, it takes practice, it takes patience, it takes skills. It's important as a caregiver to take your time to establish a good working relationship with your patients because it will make all the difference in your ability to provide good care to your patient and for your patient to feel good about the care that they receive from you. Otherwise, the whole enterprise may be in shambles of inappreciation and frustration. The relationship between you, the caregiver, and your patient, stroke your patient family is different from the one that you have with your own family or your friends. The relationship you have with your own family and friends is reciprocal, is mutual, meaning that you both, in this case, you and your family members share goals and you work to meet each other's needs. On the other hand, the relationship that you have with your patient and their family is one in which your focus is on your patient's needs, is on your patient's problems, and is on your patient's goals, or the mutual goal you have to see your patient to some form of independence. Now, while you may take on many roles with your patient, and the patient may come to view you, the caregiver, as a family or as a friend in quotes, it is important to always remember that you, the caregiver, you are there to take care of your clients, period. The patient cannot work to help you, the caregiver, meet your own needs. It's vice versa. You're working to help the patient meet his or her own needs. Now, this does not mean that you, the caregiver, you're not friendly with your patient or their family. It just means that in every situation, you must focus on your patient and you must be professional about boundaries. So how do you establish therapeutic relationships? First is trust at the core of any therapeutic relationship you're going to build in any caregiving endeavor is trust. Because during your first few interaction with the patient and the family, it's important for you to demonstrate that you're a trustworthy individual. And this means that you're showing up when you say you will. Don't promise you'll be there at 8 a.m. on the dot, and then you appear by 10 a.m. When you promise you're going to perform a task, so if you promise you're going to bed bathe, be sure that you do the bed bathing on Wednesday as promised. Don't make your Wednesday become a Thursday. Then you would also want to show that you have good skills because it means that they will be able to trust you if your skills are demonstrable and they are succinct and they are excellent. Your honesty is also a means of you building trust and letting the patient begin to come to trust you. The ability to demonstrate concern for your patient's well-being is also a way that you build trust with your patient and their relative. Empathy. Having empathy for another person means that you understand the thoughts and the feelings of the other person. You understand the rationale for it. You may not be able to know what the person feels like or what the feeling looks like, but you can have an understanding of why they feel the way they do. So empathy is different from sympathy. With sympathy, you feel sorry for another person. Feeling sorry, you may not be able to help them as such. Now, as a caregiver, you should be careful not to feel sorry for your patients because this will come across as the patient being pitied. For some people, it may look condescending, as if you're looking down upon the person's personality. And really, most people do not like this. Even if they do not say that, they do not like it. Sympathy is also more of an expression of your own feeling, while empathy will show that you understand the person's feeling. If I say this more clearly, sympathy, you're expressing your own feeling. You feel sad because the person is healed. Empathy means that you understand why the person will feel sad because he or she is healed. Now, in expressing sympathy, we're oftentimes showing agreement with the other person instead of helping them explore their feelings. When you demonstrate that you're empathic, or you understand the patient's thoughts and feelings. You show your patients that you care for them and that you're there to help them. Now, example of a demonstration of sympathy versus empathy is this. In a scenario where your patients have just told you that they've been diagnosed with cancer and you are the caregiver in this case. A sympathetic response would be something like, oh, I'm so sorry. That is so terrible. I know how exactly you feel. No, you do not know how exactly they feel. You know how exactly you feel, not that they feel. Then you go on telling them, my mother was diagnosed with cancer last year and it has just been awful. And then you go on and on describing the situation with your mom and how upsetting it has been to deal with her diagnosis. That is a sympathetic response. It doesn't help the patient. You are just venting out your own repressed emotion on your patient. It is not helpful. In my own opinion, you're using the patient as a sounding board. Now, an empathetic response would be something like this. How upsetting this must be for you. When my mom was diagnosed with cancer last year, I had so many different emotions. And if your mom was never diagnosed with cancer, it must be. I can only imagine what emotions will be going through your mind. So then you ask the question, what are your thoughts and feelings about your diagnosis with the intention of listening to all the thoughts and the feelings that your patient will come up with. Don't just throw that question in as a cliche. Of course, you then sit with the patient and you allow them the time and the space to explore the thoughts and feeling. Now, in this case, the focus is on the patient. The focus is not on you. That's an example of how you demonstrate empathy in a bid to build some solid therapeutic relationship with your patient. Now, positive regard. Positive regard is respecting another person and demonstrating that you value them as a person, regardless of your differences, whether or not you agree with their thoughts, their feelings, or their behavior. We demonstrate our positive regard for someone via verbal and non-verbal communication. Positive regard, again, should be unconditional. For everybody who is trying their best, and that means you believe that your clients or your patient is trying his or her best. You give them an unconditional positive regard. You as an individual, would you want someone to regard you positively only when you've done well? And when you don't do well, you are not regarded at all. Nobody would like that. So your patient who needs your help in this case should enjoy unconditional positive regard from you as their caregiver. What you say, how you say it, your body language all demonstrates whether you have respect for this individual. If a patient does something that you, the caregiver, does not approve of, or say something that is in disagreement with your own belief, it is important for you as the caregiver to convince your patient that you're not judging them. It is not your place. You are there to care for them, not to parent them or to usurp their own life. Then you also want to watch for your tone of voice, your facial expression, your body language, especially in things that you're not comfortable with. You may not be comfortable, but you will still regard the personhood of your client. For example, as a caregiver, if your patient tells you that they would want to stop receiving life-saving treatment, now you may not agree with this decision, but you must convey an understanding of and respect for their decision. You can say something like, okay, Mr. Wallman, that must have been a difficult decision for you to make. How are you feeling about it? This response demonstrates that you respect their right to make a decision and you're interested in understanding how they feel. Not that you tell them something like, oh, that's not a very wise decision. That's a crappy decision to make. Why would you want to decide something like that? Here you're parenting your patient or you're usurping their rights to make an informed decision or give an informed consent as regards how they will be treated. Here you are not demonstrating unconditional positive regard for your patient. Now, overhelping is a way that you would build a faulty therapeutic relationship, if I can use that word. Sometimes we want to help others so much that we take away their independence. As a caregiver, it's important that you properly care for your patient and help them with what they cannot do for themselves. It's also important that you work to promote your patient's independence so that your patient does not become unduly reliant on you and not do for themselves what they are capable of. You want to promote independence because this will help to boost your patient's self-esteem and it will help to avoid feelings of hopelessness and worthlessness. Now, for instance, a patient who is capable of cutting their food themselves can say to you, since you're the caregiver, can you cut this up for me? I'm too tired. Your response can be something like this: I understand you're feeling tired today, but it's important that you do things for yourself that you're able to. Why? Because one of our goals while I'm working with you as your caregiver is to help you become independent and gain your strength. So that being said, I will sit with you while you cut your food. That way you're not over helping the patient. This will also remind the patient of the established goal. It will provide encouragement for them. It will demonstrate that you believe in their innate capabilities. And it will also demonstrate that you, the caregiver, will be there for them even when they must complete difficult or tiresome tasks. Now, controlling is also another way we can build a not too wonderful therapeutic alliance with your patient. At times, it may just be easier to want to take over with the patient. And you may feel that doing something that is in a certain way is best, and that you, as the caregiver, you know what's good for the patient. You want to, at all costs, avoid being controlling or authoritative, that is, bossy with your patient. Instead of you telling them what to do, you want to have them come to their own decision by exploring their options. So you give patient choices whenever that's possible. So a patient that needs to be bedbetted and needs to have a walk, you want to ask, okay, so today we're supposed to have a bath and take a walk. So which one would you like to do first? You also want to give them choices with food. So between turkey sandwich, pounded yam, and rice, which of these would you like to go for? Between apple and watermelon, which of these fruit would you like to go for? Know that you decide the meal, decide the fruit, and then expect that the patient must take it because you are the caregiver who has painstakingly done all of this work. No, you're taking over the patient's life. You're not allowing them to become independent. Your aim there is to help the patient become as independent as possible, not the other way. Now, possessiveness. As a caregiver, you would oftentimes develop strong working relationship with your patient and the family, and they will come to know you very well. And they may come to know you even better than the other members of the healthcare team because let's face it, you spend the longest time with them. Now, this can lead to feelings of possessiveness over the patient and the family as if they're now your own family member. A word of caution and a constant reminder is that you're here as a staff. You're here as a caregiver. You have not been adopted into the patient's family. And because you may begin to feel that you know how best to treat the patient and negate the decisions of other healthcare team. This can lead to breakdown in the care of the patient among the members of the healthcare team. So it's important that you're aware of this type of feelings. Example of feelings, thoughts, and behaviors that may indicate possessiveness over your patient will include when you feel angry toward other healthcare members, when they make decisions that you as the caregiver does not agree with, when you arrive to work very early and you're leaving late just to spend extra time with the patient, and you're doing this consistently on a day-to-day basis, you may be becoming unduly possessive. When you withhold information from other members of the healthcare team, you may become unduly possessive. Whatever happens should be documented, should be such that you can communicate with other members of the healthcare team. If it is such that it's only you who is in the know as to certain details that is necessary for the treatment of your patient, chances are you becoming overly possessive and it will not end well. Then when you excessively disclose personal information about yourself to the family and patient in a bid to form a close relationship with the family, is a symptom that you want to watch out for. Then when you create a you and me against the world attitude with the patient, where the patient would then view you or you even take sides with the patient's decision or position regardless of the situation on the ground, such that you throw rationale and you throw your healthcare professionalism to the window. You throw it out of the window and you become unduly possessive of the patient. You want to take caution with such feelings, thoughts, and behavioral manifestations. Now, this type of feelings is usually unhealthy for both you, the caregiver, and the patient. It would only serve to create disconnection in your patient's care. Ultimately, what you've gone in for, you would not get it. And it will make the patient too reliant on you, the caregiver. Now, if you find that you're starting to become too possessive of your patient, you're spending too much time with the patient, you go very early, you leave very late. You find that you're having undue emotional attachment to this patient, you're disclosing so much of yourself to the patient and the family, you're withholding information to other members of the healthcare team. It's high time you speak with your supervisor about the feelings, and then you want to decide how you work such situations out. So maybe that means you're putting firm boundaries in place, you're making your supervisor an accountability partner, or you even request that you be transferred to another household or another patient to care for. Now, the truth is there's no caregiving alliance that is forever. So every therapeutic relationship will eventually come to an end. So in situations when you need to terminate your therapeutic relationship with your patients, the truth is different from your relationship with your own family or friends. The end date is coming with you, the client, with you, the caregiver, and the patient and their family. Now, some families may even want you to continue to have a relationship with them afterwards as a caregiver. They may ask you to call them to come and visit them if you've done a really good job. Ending a relationship with someone can be difficult. It can awaken strong feelings in you, the caregiver, and even the patient, because you've come to build a very solid bond after a while if you did a great job of your caregiving profession. And your patient may feel uncared for, they may feel hungry, they may feel depressed that you will no longer be working with them. For instance, maybe you get transferred or moved to another household or another patient. It's important for you as a caregiver to remember to keep professional boundaries while also explaining to the patient how much you have enjoyed working with them and how much you have come to value the relationship that you have built with them. So, for example, a patient might say, will you come visit me even after you stop working here? You, the caregiver, will say something like, I've enjoyed working with you so much. I'm not able to continue to come visit you once we have stopped working together. Why? Because there will be conflict of interest. You are the caregiver in this case. There's another caregiver who is now taking care of such a patient. If you come visiting, chances are you would want to usurp the position and the office of the new caregiver who is responsible for this patient. So coming to visit is not in the best interest of you or the patient. And you can also say something like, it's against my company's policy. Let's talk about how you feel about ending a relationship, in this case, the therapeutic relationship, I mean. Ending a relationship with your patient may also stir up some strong feelings for you. So if you find that you're leaving the household or the patient you've been caring for and you feel a bit sad, it's not unusual. It probably means that you also built some solid relationship with your patient and you've come to love them in some way. Really, caregiving is a profession that takes your soul, your spirit, your body. So eventually there is just some connection in some deep ways if you've gone with your heart of heart to care for your patient holistically. So it's important for you as a caregiver to discuss your feelings and how to handle them with your supervisor, not with your patient. Discussing with your patient doesn't help you because there will be bias, there will be conflict of interest. With your supervisor, there will be clarity, there would be neutrality while you discuss and process any feelings you may have. It's also good that you remember that you are there to care for the patient and not the other way around. So the patient is not there to care for your emotional needs. Take that out with your supervisor if you cannot sort it out alone. Then the company may also have specific policies about termination of relationships. So it's important to discuss ahead with your supervisor that when my therapeutic alliance comes to an end with this family or with this patient, how do we go about it as a policy in our caregiving company? So now, I have a number of questions here for you to self-check yourself for if you're flaunting boundaries with your clients, and is adapted from Jane W. Patton's Professional Boundaries, Descending the Line in the Sand. The first question is this behavior or action in my patient's best interest? The second question is this activity that I'm carrying out, whose needs are being served by engaging in this behavior? Is it my needs or the patient's needs? A third question is, are my actions meant to best meet the needs of my patient, or am I meeting my own needs? The fourth question is, what emotions of my own are being stirred up by this patient/family? And are they emotions that are affecting my ability to effectively make decisions and care for my patient? Am I treating this patient differently than other patients with whom I have worked currently or in the past? Will this behavior have an impact on the care I give my patients? How would others, in this case the healthcare team, and the patient's family view this my behavior? Am I taking advantage of my patient in any way? Am I comfortable documenting this my decision of behavior in the patient's file such that everybody can see it and I'll be comfortable with every opinion or judgment that may accrue from such my behavior or decision? And the final one is, does this decision of mine or behavior go against my agency policy or the general ethics guiding the caregiving profession? So these are some self-check boundaries that is good to keep in place while you institute a professional therapeutic alliance with your client. So with that, we come to the end of this presentation. And as always, thank you for staying with me till the end of this presentation. I wish you a wonderful day.